Welcome you all students in this today's topic of the day discussion. We will be discussing about ammonium nitrate as a compound or a chemical which is that devastating that it can actually become an explosive, right? So this we are discussing especially after the recent blast which happened near the Red Fort, Delhi, which took almost 9 people's life and also left many people injured. Talks about a particular compound called as ANFO, ANFO, which is your ammonium nitrate fuel oil. So now in this particular video, let's try and understand what this ANFO is all about. And also we will try and understand about ammonium nitrate and why ammonium nitrate is being used often by these terrorists for terror attacks around the world. Okay, so this particular video is about ammonium nitrate and let's begin. So as we have already talked about the context, more than around 9 people they died and also many people were left injured, right? So all of this was because of a particular blast, and after further investigations which were done, the police found out that the ammunitions, or let's say the explosives, were made of the ammonium nitrate, and it was also found that more than 350 kg of ammonium nitrate were actually found in certain areas, and also along with some other ammunitions including some rifles and other explosive ammunitions. So what is this ammonium nitrate? So is it really an explosive, or is it that unstable when it is just open in the atmosphere or the normal atmosphere? And why is it actually used as an explosive? Because if we have to see the primary use of ammonium nitrate, especially farmers can pretty much relate with ammonium nitrate as a compound, because it is mainly used in fertilizers which actually helps the crops grow. And talking about the chemical structure of the ammonium nitrate, it is a white crystalline or a white sugar-like compound which pretty much looks like your white golies, right? White jeera golies. And the chemical compound, the chemical name is NH4NO3, which primarily contains nitrogen. And this primarily gets used in the agriculture, mostly to help the crops grow. And also this ammonium nitrate, it gets used in various other equipment like your freezers, especially inside the freezer and even in certain cold packs. And also it is used as a commercial explosives which they use mostly in mines and also in the construction areas to probably bring down the whole building, right? So it is that kind of a compound. So it is primarily used as an agriculture fertilizer, and also along with that it is also used as an explosive, but mostly a minor explosive for the commercial purposes like mining and the construction areas. Also keep in mind, it is very important to remember that ammonia by itself, the ammonium nitrate by itself, is not an explosive. It does not explode just because ammonium nitrate comes in contact with the water, or just probably is left open just like that, probably like your sodium or potassium. It is not that kind of a chemical compound which is readily an explosive in its nature. But when this chemical compound, let's say this ammonium nitrate, is mixed with a fuel oil, and also is combined or triggered by a detonator like your RDX or your TNT, that is when this ammonium nitrate becomes a very powerful and a very strong explosive, right? So this is about your ammonium nitrate. So now, what is this ANFO? So I think whenever you see the newspaper, whenever you read anything with respect to terrorist attacks, terrorist bombings, mostly you come across this particular abbreviation, ANFO. So it simply means ammonium nitrate and fuel oil. So it also has a particular proportion, which means this particular ammunition or this particular explosive has 94% of ammonium nitrate, and then 6% of, or the 6% of the fuel oil which is used. So basically, for any combustion to take place, right, You need the oxygen and also the combusting fuel. So the ammonium nitrate provides the oxygen for burning, and also the fuel oil provides the fuel, and together they make a powerful explosive, a combination that makes it become the most powerful explosive when a detonator sets them off, when a detonator triggers them, detonator like TNT or RDS like we discussed before. And this explosion that happens with the combination of this ANFO, right, the ammonium nitrate and a fuel oil combined with the trigger, which is either a detonator, like which is either an RDX or probably a TNT. The explosion that happens, it happens in micro milliseconds, and it creates a very huge volume of heat, hot gases that cause a massive shock wave, pretty much like an earthquake of magnitude about, which is more than 3.3 or even sometimes 4, right? So we're talking about that huge humongous energy that gets released just from a natural chemical fertilizer, which is a chemical fertilizer when it is idle, but when combined with a detonator and also provided with a fuel oil, becomes a very powerful explosive. So even though it's less powerful than the military explosives, using a large amount of ANFO can cause massive destruction. So another important thing to keep in mind, that unlike the normal military explosives that probably gets used in the Indian defense, with the militaries, right? So this ammonium nitrate fuel oil, ANFO, as an explosive is not as powerful as the military grade explosives. But if this ANFO has been used in a very large amount, that is when it can actually match to the level of the military explosive and can also lead a very massive destruction, especially in a closed areas like cars or buildings. So pretty much that is what happened in Delhi near the Red Fort area as well, right? So that is with respect to the ANFO. So now, why this terrorists, or why these terrorist groups, they use this ANFO now? So first and foremost thing is, it is a very cheap and easy to get chemical compound. As we discussed, ammonium nitrate are freely readily available, right? And also it is pretty much used as a chemical fertilizer, right? So also that is one of the reason, and it is very cheap and also easy because it mostly gets used in the fertilizer. And second most important reason is it is very safe to handle, right? As in even in terms of where it has to be stored, right? You don't need a particular area which is, or a particular place where there is no requirement that ammonium nitrate should not come in contact with water, should not come in contact with air, right? You can pretty much store it very easily, hassle friendly, and it is also considered to be very safe, right? Even when you're storing it just like that, until it is mixed with a fuel oil and a detonator. So hence it is safe to handle. And third most important thing is the large scale production, right? And this particular ammonium nitrate and the bombs or the explosives that can be made out of this ANFO or the ammonium nitrate are very easy to be made, and also in large quantities, and also the kind of production method that goes into making these kind of explosives doesn't require all these complicated tools and equipments. It is a very simple tools, and with very simple tools and with very simple techniques, and also you can make large scale, isn't humongous quantity of these kind of explosives. And all of this is a perfect recipe for someone who's planning for a terror attack, correct? And because of this, many past attacks, because it was not just the very first time that ammonium nitrate was used, we also have to know that even in India, many past attacks like many places like Pulwama, right? Many places, these particular ammonium nitrate explosives were used, right? Ammonium nitrate mixed with RDX were also used previously. And talking about the dangerous past accidents, as we discussed, this is not just only limited to the terrorist attacks, because if we go back in the history, we have seen some of the accidents which have occurred very naturally. So Texas 1947, the historic industrial disaster. Then is your China in 2015, especially in Tianjin port, the explosion happened. And of course, of all this, the worst one was near the, in Beirut, right? Beirut, a very devastating port blast where almost 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate was involved in this, and that 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate was stored in a particular area, and because of some malfunctioning, because of some problem, the entire amount of 3,000 tons of ammonium nitrate got blasted, and then it created a huge havoc back at that time. So that is also one of the problems, and these blasts happen because ammonium nitrate is not coming in contact with the detonator, but because it is stored in large amounts, especially near fuel and heat sources, and they are naturally known as an oxidizing agents, right? They just react over a particular, react over a period of time to the natural features, right? And when these ammonium nitrates in large quantities are stored near a fuel or any heat sources, that is when they explode or they become an explosive, right? So this is more than sufficient. Of course, the Beirut 2020 explosion is absolutely important. You have to keep in mind. And moving forward, let's try and understand what are some of the legal and law regulations in India with respect to the explosives. So it is controlled under the Explosives Act of 1884, and specifically there is one particular section which talks about ammonium nitrate rules 2012, which talks about how ammonium nitrate has to be used, even in terms of its usage, even in terms of its storage. What is the policy? And according to that, it states any mixture having more than 45% of ammonium nitrate in it is legally considered or treated as an explosive. So that is one of the important things. So any particular storage capacity or any mixture, even a fertilizer or anything which has more than 45% of ammonium nitrate in it, it is legally classified and labeled as an explosive. And for all of these labeled ammonium nitrate mixtures, licenses are needed to make them and even store them and even transport or sell it. And even for that matter, license is even required for the manufacturing or the production of your ammonium nitrate compound, and also especially to store it, transport it, and also sell it. And storing it in populated areas is also illegal. So these are the few important regulations which is mentioned under the Ammonium Nitrate Rules 2012, which is governed by the Explosives Act 1884, which is also important from the examination point of view. Now coming to the analysis part. So now why this blast matters, right? Because it not only shows how easy India is a target, or how the structural problems, or let's say how the structural bottleneck created the situation. Because see, it is the problem not with respect to the national, or sorry, okay, it's pretty much related to the national security, right? The leakages in terms of how national security is considered in the present past, because we can also talk about the inadequacies in the intelligence agency. Probably the intelligence had information, maybe they failed in spreading the information at the right time. Probably the information was spread, it was informed, it was told. Might be so that the action, to take the action at the right time was not possible, right? So there are a lot of things. So it shows how easy it is still to misuse the industrial chemicals for terrorism. This is the other angle. First one is the national security, because what mostly matters is how it is affecting the people of the country, and what is the responsibility of the government to make sure that the people are safe. So first dimension is how the national security is breached, and all the deficiencies in the intelligence agency, and also probably in terms of how the coordination between the intercoordination between various agencies, right? Interagency coordination. It talks about all the deficiencies inside the system, and also it talks about how easy that these simple, or let's say very minute, or let's say very common chemicals are being misused for terrorism. And it also reminds that stronger monitoring for ammonium nitrate sales are to be one of the utmost priority to keep in mind. Then tracking of the fertilizer use and transport, better forensic tools to detect ANFO quickly, tight cooperation between police, intelligence and local authorities. Of course, so whatever we are discussing, there are two aspects. One is from the point of view of the chemical itself, that is, the misuse of the particular chemical. Next is the national security. So in order to cater that, stronger monitoring for how the usage and the sales of ammonium nitrate are supposed to be sold. Then the tracking of all these fertilizers, who uses it, who transports it, and the end user, does he require that much amount of ammonium nitrate? So all of those checks and balances, and then better forensic tools to detect ANFO in some vicinities where it is most vulnerable for any explosion. Let's say probably such kind of areas where generally it is considered to be crowded, or probably the inflow of people on a particular event is expected to be too high in a particular area. So those are those kind of vulnerable areas where better forensic tools must also be in place, must be in place, so that they can detect ANFO very quickly. And last is the tighter cooperation between the forces, talking about all the agencies, be it police, intelligence and even the local authorities. So hence this not just talks about the terrorist attack, but also the country's deficiency as well, because it is not the very first, or it is not let's say did not happen after a very long time. Recently we saw the Pulwama attacks, and after this it is very recent, and I think it is one of the biggest drawback, and also probably like a black mark on the government as well, to probably not have to probably not have taken the actions at the right time, right? So anyway, coming to the way forward, there are a few important things. Then of course this is for the examination point of view. That first is track sales of the ammonium nitrate, where it goes, who is using it and what quantity. Next is conduct regular checks, especially having surprise checks, especially at various fertilizer units and even chemical shops, and conduct frequent audits with respect to how much they have procured and how much they have sold and what are they are selling and to whom they are selling. And then also train the personnel, especially the forensic department or be it the police, right, to identify ANFO based explosives faster, because ANFO is something that is easily accessible and easily usable by the terrorists, right? So training personals to detect that is also very important. Next is the safe storage, right, because the government also has to bring up certain things, especially even more stricter regulations, where the storage of these ammonium nitrate and other explosive compounds must be in certain restricted areas, right? So keeping it completely away from the populated areas. And last but not the least is about the public awareness. So raise public awareness about reporting suspicious activity. So public is also very important. So intelligence doesn't just mean it's from the Intelligence Bureau of India, or let's say any particular designated body, but also the people themselves. Anyhow, whenever they see something suspicious going on, it is up to their limits also, that they should be prudent enough to report it then and there, right? So that is also very important. So anyway, that's all for this particular video. We have pretty much discussed everything about what ammonium nitrate is, what is ANFO, and why is it important, why terrorists are using. I hope you have pretty much understood about everything that we have discussed today. Anyway, that's all for this particular video. We'll meet soon with another video. Until then, signing off, this is Madan Gopal. Have a beautiful day.